Well, if people are waiting an hour in advance, there must be something to the dosa. Let's find out. Dosa new ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ?
ನಾನೇ ದೋಸೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದೇನೋ ಒಂದು ತೃಪ್ತಿ. ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಖುಷಿ.
I love the manner in which that butter is integrating into that dosa.
This is butter masala, Preethi Canteen.
Very hygienic, very relishing. You can really enjoy.
If a doctor endorses well, that's all that one needs.
Yeah.
That's a dosa that feels extremely fragile. This is the natural sourness of the yogurt that's been toned down by the milk. Hi folks, this is Kripal, amanna, gourmet on the road, and you're watching Food Lovers TV. So we are currently about 230 kilometers away from Bengaluru. We are on our way to Shimoga, but before we hit Shimoga, somebody has told us about, not somebody actually, we've received many requests over a period of time to visit this place called PREETHI Canteen in Birur. So that's where we are headed. I'm told that the dosa that they make here is quite special. So it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the place opens around 4 o'clock. So I think we will be there perhaps a little before they open. But I'm looking forward to tasting this dosa at PREETHI Canteen that has received tons of recommendations over time.
Sir, 4:30 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
4:30? ಇನ್ನೂ 1 hour ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಾಲು ಗಂಟೆ 25 ನಿಮಿಷ.
20 ನಿಮಿಷ.
ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
Fantastic. Well, we reached a little early. The time says 4:30 p.m. but he says in about 20-25 minutes we should be able to get our hands on some dosa. It's only 3:35 now. I don't know when we'll be back here, and since we are already here, might as well wait and taste the dosa and then only leave.
ನಾವು ದೋಸೆಗೆ
Waiting.
ಫೇಮಸ್ ಹೋಟ್ಲು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ಬೀರೂರು.
ನಿಮ್ದು ಊರಲ್ಲಿ?
ಇದೇ ಊರು
Birur. Well, if people are waiting an hour in advance, there must be something to the dosa. Let's find out. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು ಸರ್?
ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್.
ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್, ನ್ಯೂ ಓನರ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಇದು?
40 years ಆಯಿತು.
ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು?
ಫಾದರ್ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್.
ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್.
ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು ಉಡುಪಿ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ.
ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಊರೆಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್?
ಸಾಲಿಗ್ರಾಮ ಹತ್ರ ಸಾಸ್ತಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲ ಊರು ಅದು.
ಹಾಂ.
ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಟ್ಲ್ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. 1976 ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿದೊಂದು ಕಾನೂನು ಬಂತು ನೋಡಿ,
ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ
ಟೈಮ್. ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸುಮಾರು 10 yearsಯಿಂದ ಒಂದೇ ಹೋಟ್ಲು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಆ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಓನರ್ ನಮಗೆ ನೀವು ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಬೀರೂರು ನಮಗೆ ಕರೀತು.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು?
1968.
ಸೊ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೀರೂರು ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ
ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಶೃಂಗಾರ್ ಟಾಕೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಟ್ಲು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಶೃಂಗಾರ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಅಂತಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 80ವರೆಗೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಇದು ನಡೀಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದರು. 81ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಏನು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೇಲಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಬೀರೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಗೆ ಜನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಕಷ್ಟ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೈ ಹಿಡಿದಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಓ ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಸೊ ದ ಲವ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹಾಗೆ ನೇಮ್ ಬಂತು.
ನೇಮ್. ಸೊ ಅದು ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಅಪ್ಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮುಂದುವರ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ್ವಿ. ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಟ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಂಗಾರಪ್ಪ ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆದಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಭೇಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಬಂಗಾರಪ್ಪ ಅವ್ರು ಕಾಲಿಟ್ಟಾಗ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋಟ್ಲು ಬಂಗಾರವಾಗಿ ನೇಮ್ ಗುಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬೆಳೀತು. ಸೊ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪ CM ಆದಾಗ 3 ಟೈಮ್ ನಾನು ಹೋಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಕುಮಾರಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಭವನ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಓನರ್
ಅರುಣ್
ಅಡಿಗರು ಫಾದರ್ ಅವರು ನನ್ನ ಹೋಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ, ಅವ್ರ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಇದೇ ರೋಡಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬರುವಾಗ ಅವಲ್ಲ ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ 2:30 to 2:45 ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದು 4:30ವರೆಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಗಾಡಿ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ತಿಂಡಿ ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ದೋಸೆ ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದರು. ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಖಾರ ಬಾತ್, ಕೇಸರಿ ಬಾತು, ಇಡ್ಲಿ, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇಡ್ಲಿ ವಡೆ, ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ, ಮಂಡಕ್ಕಿ, ಮೊಸರು ವಡೆ, ದೋಸೆ, ರೈಸ್ ಬಾತ್.
ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ
ಈಗ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ರವಾ ಇಡ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ನ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು, ಬಜ್ಜಿ, ಮದ್ದೂರು ವಡೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ದೋಸೆ.
ದೋಸೆ ನೀವೇ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ?
ನಾನೇ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ದೋಸೆ. ನನ್ನ ಹುಡುಗನೂ ಹಾಕ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಹುಡುಗ ಹಾಕ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾನೇ ದೋಸೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದೇನೋ ಒಂದು ತೃಪ್ತಿ, ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಖುಷಿ.
Well, we've got the eatery open for us.
ಓಪನ್ ಕಿಚನ್.
ಓಪನ್ ಕಿಚನ್.
ಹಾಂ, ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಹೋಮ್ಲಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಇದೆ
ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದು ಆವತ್ತಿಂದ ಅವತ್ತು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಅದನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಏನೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಸೊ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ, ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಆಗಿ ಆ ಥರ ನಿಮ್ಮದು ದೇಶ. ಇದು ಏನು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಚಟ್ನಿ?
ಹಾಂ, ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಚಟ್ನಿ ಈಗ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಆಗಿ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Well, so nice to meet Mr. Prakash Holla. He's of course come here to make sure that things get started at 4:30 p.m. But he's promised me as soon as I can give you a dosa, I'll give you a dosa. But it's nice to walk into places like these. There's a lovely homely atmosphere ತರ.
ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೈಂಡರ್ ಇರೋದು, ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ತರೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೈಂಡರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕಾರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
Fantastic. So ಯಾಕೆ ಜನರು ಇಷ್ಟು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮದು ದೋಸೆ?
ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ, ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಅದು ಆಟೋಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮಟ್ಟಗೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ,
ಗ್ರೋತ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗುತ್ತೆ.
Fantastic. I love his philosophy. And just having this short interaction with him, I can't wait to watch him make that dosa before I tuck into that very famous Preethi Canteen dosa. Well, I was feeling a little guilty having accosted Mr. Holla as soon as he came into the shop. I thought I'll sit in a corner and wait while he sets up his restaurant to begin service at 4:30 p.m. I saw a very interesting rava idli mix coming together. Of course, the base is the toasted Bombay rava with a little bit of oggarane, some curry leaf and a few other things that go in. And I also saw plenty of sapsige soppu goes into it, the dill. And what was also interesting here was most places that I've seen where the rava idli comes together, it's only the mosuru, the yogurt. But out here, I saw a combination of the milk, some buttermilk and a little bit of yogurt go in. And also some soda just to kind of make it a little light. That's what he mentioned. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಡ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡೋದಾ ಸರ್? ಹಾಂ,
ಇದು ಈಗ 6 ಗಂಟೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಹಾಂ,
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಿಸಿ ಬಿಸಿ ಆಗ್ತೀವಿ.
ಓಕೆ.
ನನ್ನ ಮಗ, ಎರಡನೇ ಮಗ.
What's your name?
Sandesh.
Sandesh. What do you do?
So I'm working in Bengaluru. I'm a finance analyst. Sundays I'll come here and
Help him.
on the holidays we'll come and here we'll work here.
Fantastic. ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಸರು ವಡೆ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಬಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಹೊರಗೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದು ಮದ್ದೂರು ವಡೆ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಜನರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ದೋಸೆ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಏನ್ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು?
ದಹಿ ವಡೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಂಡಕ್ಕಿ, ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ, ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ರವಾ ಇಡ್ಲಿ,
ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ರವೆ ಇಡ್ಲಿ,
ದೋಸೆ,
ಮತ್ತೆ ದೋಸೆ,
ಫೈನಲ್ ದೋಸೆ.
ಫೈನಲ್ ದೋಸೆ. ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಂಡಕ್ಕಿಲಿ ಏನ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಇದೆ?
ಮಂಡಕ್ಕಿ ನೆನೆಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಚಿತ್ರಾನ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಪ್ ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಈರುಳ್ಳಿ, ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ, ಕರಿಬೇವು ಸೊಪ್ಪೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಲೆಮನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಡಲೆ ಪುಡಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಿಕ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಇದು ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್.
ಇದು ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್.
ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ವೀಟು. ಈ ಮಲ್ನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಈಕ್ವಲೆಂಟ್. ಅದೇ ನೀವು ಮೈಸೂರು ಸಿಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಖಾರ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ.
ಇದು ನಮ್ದು ದೋಸೆ ಹಿಟ್ಟು.
ದೋಸೆ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ರೆಡಿಯಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈ ಪೌಡ್ರ್ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ಯೂರ್ ಅಕ್ಕಿ. ನಾವು ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ನೆನೆಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಶ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಗ್ರೈಂಡ್ರಿ ಹಾಕಿ ರುಬ್ಬಿದ್ದು ಮನೇಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ತಿಂಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಸೊ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಇದು. ದೋಸೆಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ, ಉದ್ದಿನ ಬೇಳೆ, ಮೆಂತೆ, ಅವಲಕ್ಕಿ, ಮಂಡಕ್ಕಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೊಚ್ಚು ಲೌಕಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ರೈಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಉದ್ದಿನ ಬೇಳೆ ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ?
ರೈಸು ಒಂದು ಸೇರಿಗೆ 100 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಉದ್ದಿನ ಬೇಳೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, 150 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮೆಂತ್ಯ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಚ್ಚಲಕ್ಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಧ ಸೇರುತ್ತೆ.
ಒಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಧ ಸೇರು
ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಾಕಿ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ 5 ಐಟಮ್.
ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮದು ದೋಸೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಭಾಳ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
ಫುಲ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್. ಇದು ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಫುಲ್ ಗ್ರೈಂಡರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಇದು. ನೀವು ಡ್ರೈ ಪೌಡರ್ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೋಸ್ಟು ತಿನ್ನುವಾಗ ಮಜಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ತಿನ್ನೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದು ನೀವು ಈ ದೋಸೆ ನೀವು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ತಿಂದರೂ ಸ್ಮೂತ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ.
ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಪಲ್ಯ.
ಪಲ್ಯ.
ಸೊ ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಮಸಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ.
ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಮಸಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ನಾವು ಪರ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ಟೆ ವಾಶ್ ಬಟ್ಟೆ.
ಇವ್ರದ್ದು ಕ್ರಮ ನನಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆ ಥರ.
ಮಿನಿ ಹಾಕಿನಿ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಮಿನಿ.
ನಾನು ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೋಸೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ದೋಸೆ ತಿನ್ನಿ.
Ghee.
Some ghee that goes on top. That dosa looks very delicate, very fragile. I've not tasted it, but that's the appearance. I love the manner in which that butter is integrating into that dosa.
ಕೆಂಪು ಚಟ್ನಿ ಏನು ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ, ಬಟರು ಪಲ್ಯ
ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
This is butter masala Preethi Canteen.
This is a very famous butter masala dosa of Preethi Canteen prepared by Mr. Holla.
I was very happy of your presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Srinivas Murthy.
Thank you very much, sir. Very nice to meet you, sir. Are you from here?
Native of this, and we know this hotel for decades.
For decades. Fantastic. If a doctor endorses well, that's all that one needs.
Yeah.
It's a license to enjoy your dosa, your Benne masala dosa at that.
Very hygienic, very relishing. You can really enjoy.
That's a dosa that feels extremely fragile. I saw that dosa being roasted, and around the edges, that dosa seemed rather thin in its texture. I was expecting to bite into something very crunchy, very delicate, and that's exactly the sort of dosa that this is. The palya is very light in its flavors. I'm tasting the onions, the hint of the sweetness that comes from the potato. I love the edges of that dosa. That dosa is near translucent and crispy around the edges. Oh, that's a delicious dosa. A little thick in the center, but towards the edges it's very thin, very fragile, very crunchy. And I would taste some of it with that gatti chutney. Bit of the kai, bit of the urugadle, and the spicy kick that you get from green chilies. This is a dosa that's laden in that benne. The butter goes on the dosa thrice. First, when that dosa is just formed, the butter goes in. Mr. Holla allows for that butter to penetrate into that dosa. And then once the palya goes in, there's a little more dab of the butter that goes in. And finally, after that dosa is folded into that triangular shape, a little more of the butter. So this is a dosa that's laden with the benne. The bit of sweetness that you're tasting in the palya with the potatoes. One really soft ಇದೆ ದೋಸೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ರಂಚಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ತಿನ್ಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಆಲೂಗಡ್ಡೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದು ಪೊಟೇಟೋನ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಪಲ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ತಿಳಿ ಜನರು ಏನು ಪ್ರಿಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮಸಾಲೆ ದೋಸೆಯಾ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ದೋಸೆಯಾ? ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? I want to taste the texture of that dosa because that dosa is quite interesting. I love the caramelized edge of that dosa. Fantastic. I can taste the flavor of the benne, the butter. The palya, in my opinion, plays a complementing role. It's just designed to partner with the dosa. But I think out here it's a dosa that shines. Be it in that benne masala dosa or like that benne khali that I've just ordered. Well, we've got a benne khali here. So the benne khali ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಲ್ಯ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So full butter. So of course the palya now is on the outside and then the gatti chutney as well. So the first dosa that I got in, although I got the dosa just of the hanchu, but by the time I spoke to people around, that dosa had cooled down a bit. So this time around, I'm not wasting any time. I want to dive into that dosa right away. You can sense the fragility of that dosa. Oh, that's a dosa that's extremely fragile. It's quite literally cracking up even as I break that dosa and make an attempt to scoop it into my mouth. I think that Benne masala is good, but I think if you want to taste what this dosa is like, the texture of that dosa, you got to taste it just by itself. It's absolutely delicious, and of course it's loaded with the butter, loaded with the Nandini Benne. What I also love is the play of textures. So there's some parts of the dosa, like for example around here, which are slightly dappa, a little soft, but then there are certain other parts which have near caramelized. Even the color is a slight dark caramel, and that's the part that's most crunchy in its honeycomb sort of texture. I'm enjoying that dosa just by itself. We are in a place called Birur, which is about 230 kilometers from Bengaluru. I came here, there were people waiting. I of course got into the eatery, the shutters were still down. When the shutters were opened, within a minute, every chair was taken. In fact, I with great difficulty found this table for me. That tells you the popularity of a place. It's on the highway for people who are going from Kaduru towards Shimoga. People plan their journeys in such a way that they can stop here when this eatery is open. Such is the popularity of this place. Slight touch of tartness somewhere in that dosa. What I'm tasting in that palyamo are slivers of onion, some potato that's been rendered to a mush, and some that is still solid in its chunky texture. Some dosa now with the chutney and the palya. Also, it's a dosa that feels very homely. This is my second dosa, heavy on style now.
This curd vada.
Curd vade.
Famous masala.
ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೂಂದಿಯಾ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಶುಗರ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ ಕಲರಿಗೆ ದ ಕರ್ಡ್ ವಡ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಸೊ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋನ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಎನ್ ಇಂಡಲ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಬೈಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ದೋಸೆ ವಿತ್ ದ ಆಲ್ ದ ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಪಲ್ಯ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅ ಬಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಚಟ್ನಿ. ಇದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಉದ್ದಿನ ವಡೆಯಾ?
ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್
ಸೋಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Well, that's a curd vade. Plenty of the bundi there. Very light. A bit of sourness somewhere. ಬರೀ ಮೊಸರು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್, 3 ಲೀಟರ್ ಮೊಸರು, 1 ಲೀಟರ್ ಹಾಲು, 3 or 4 hours ಒಳಗೆ ಅದು ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಟ್ರೈ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವು ಹುಳಿ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
No, because of the fact that it's a combination of the milk and the yogurt, that mosaru feels rather light. There is a touch of sourness, but isn't so sour that they have to balance it again with some sugar. This is the natural sourness of the yogurt that's been toned down by the milk. The uddina vada has also been soaked in some water, and therefore its texture is quite spongy and the sort that very readily absorbs that milk and yogurt mix. And for crunch, you have a bit of the bundi. After the 2 benne dosas, I was certainly feeling a little warm, but this curd vade has cooled things down completely. I also like the refreshing flavors of the coriander that has gone atop this vade as garnish. There's also a bit of onion that I'm tasting every now and then. Small slivers of the onion which helps cut through the textures a bit. And I think the heat in this is from some green chili. Certainly is a tasty vade, curd vade on the heels of 2 benne dosa. ಇದು mandakki ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ. I can see a sasve of the ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ, a bit of the coriander in there, some onions as well, and turmeric to give it that color. You know what's interesting about a mandakki ಒಗ್ಗರಣೆ is that there's also some kadle hittu that goes in, and that kadle hittu basically also helps bring together all the flavors that you're tasting in that. So I can taste a bit of tang of the lime, a bit of the heat of the green chili that goes into it, the crunch of some lentils, and also the pulpy savory crunch of some onions, and that kadle hittu helps bring it all together. So basically this is the puffed rice that is soaked in water for a few moments, and then that water is removed and then it's tossed with that oggarne. That oggarne that comprises a bunch of things. ಅಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಮಾತ್ರ ಇನ್ನು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬಂದು ಹೇಗೆ ತಿಂತಿದ್ದೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್. I love the crunch of that onion that I'm tasting in that. Quite tasty. Of course, there's a chutney. Haven't felt the need for the chutney, but typically this is how they savor the oggarne mandakki with some of that chutney. Very tasty. And what's also interesting is that each time when you hit something, you have a different flavor note. When you bite into a sliver of the green chili, of course you're tasting that prickle of heat. Then when you come to that onion is soft, slightly sweet in its moist crunch. And then somewhere you have that soft bite of the lentils. You're on the highway, you've driven for about 4 or 5 hours. It's about 4:30 in the evening. You want to eat something that will not only satisfy your hunger but will also refresh you. And I think the dishes that I've tasted here thus far, whether it's the Benne Dosae or that mandakki or also that curd vada, are the sort that have not only fortified me but also perked my senses. So out here they also have car service, so you can park your car right outside and they will serve you. But if you want to come inside Preethi's canteen, you're welcome to do so too. Rava idli. Well, I think our last item here at Preethi Canteen, although they have a bunch of items, Vada, they have some bajji and things like that. Well, this is the rava idli, and that rava idli is served with a chutney and also the vegetable sagu. And that idli is soft and the sort that breaks under its own weight. And what was very interesting, as I saw Mr. Holla mix the ingredients of the idli, a toasted Bombay rava with a bit of the oggarne, the carrot, etc. I've seen in most places when they do the rava idli, it's only the yogurt that goes in. But out here it's a combination of some milk, some buttermilk and a little bit of the yogurt too. And I think that to me was very interesting. Let's taste now that rava idli just by itself. There's some specks of coriander, you can see a bit of the lentil, some carrot. What you're definitely sensing also is a subsidiary soppu, the dill that goes into that idli. Quite soft yet rich in its texture, because you're tasting every once in a while all the components, all the ingredients that have gone into it. Be it the carrot, be it the coriander, the aromatic whiff of the dill and the soft bite of the lentil. Let's taste now some of that sagu. Very wholesome, very homely. Also a bit of the aromatic garam masala that's gone into it. What's also interesting is the various textures that you're tasting. So the peas have a bit of a bite, but when it comes to the kol rabi, it's quite soft. The carrot too is soft, and then you have the onion somewhere in there. There's also a bit of the heat that you're tasting, and that heat perhaps comes from the byadgi mensankai, and then the aromatic notes of the spices, the hard spices that go in right at the beginning when that oil is heated. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಣಸಿನಕಾಯಿ ಏನು ಅತಿಗೆರೆ. So that chili is not very apparent in the beginning, but as you taste that sagu, after a few spoons you can definitely feel it warm your throat. I think next we're going to dunk that very mellow, gently flavored rava idli into that sagu. So tasty. Also the pulpiness of some of the tomatoes that have gone into the sagu. Some curry leaf that you can spot in that rava idli there. I want to make sure that I soak it up with that sagu. Sagu bisi ide. Idu sagu elli madudu sir? Sagu elli madudu. That was hot, very hot. The chutney is spicy, but I needed a bit of its coldness to offset the heat of that sagu. I think now I'm coming to a point where I'm feeling the weight of the many dishes that I've tasted. This coffee does well to wash the excesses of my indulgent tiffin tindi here at Preethi Canteen in Birur. So if you're anyway on this National Highway 206, approaching Kadur and on your way to Shimoga, definitely make it a point to stop here at Preethi Canteen. They're open in the morning from 7:30 to 12:30 and in the evening from 4:30 to 8 o'clock. So come here, meet the Hollas and taste most of the dishes that they have to offer. And definitely don't leave without tasting that very famous Preethi Canteen's Benne masala dosa. It's made to a tradition that goes back 60 years. I hope you enjoyed this Gourmet on the Road episode here in Birur. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, stay strong and happy drinking.
500 rupees.
ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅತಿಥಿ.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Number famous for the Preethi Canteen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If you'd like to support the work that we do at Food Lovers TV, do consider joining our membership community on YouTube by hitting the join button below or on the home page. You could pledge a nominal sum and receive special privileges like behind the scenes footage, shoot updates, access to live Q&As and a lot more. You could support us on our Patreon page as well. For more info, check out the links in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share and leave a comment below. Happy eating.